all dog. I'ma dive on the floor, go try to block every shot, and I'ma be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think it's just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. Talking pundits, I hear you're ashamed. Talking that chop, you must run this way. Tryna tell ya, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better come for real, cause I'm like that. When you're real for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better come for real, cause I'm like that. Mess around, find
out. What up, though? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is having a good start to their week on this Monday. Today, my brother, clutch points rider for the Pistons, Eric Vincent, who I call a.k.a. Vinny, E-Vinny, a.k.a. Kendrick the Enthusiast, a.k.a. the Drake Loather, has returned to the show. How you doing, man? What's going on, bro?
I'm excited, man. I'm happy to be here. My weekend airwaves are polluted by that new Drake song. Anybody in the comment that's a fan, I don't care what your opinion is today, but I'm happy to be here. It's summer league season on the way. We're gonna pick up some vibes of the off season, so it's gonna be a good time. I'm happy to be here with y'all.
Good to be here, man. We have a lot in the chat already. We see you guys showing up and showing out. Ron Holland II is in the building, everybody. Y'all go ahead and say what's up to my man, Mr.
Big Ron
Holland. Yeah, that's my man. That's a good dude right there, man. That's my guy. Yes. We're gonna talk about some interesting things that you're gonna find of interest tonight, sir. So hope you stick around for that. But everybody, drop some fire emojis for Ron Sr. He is here in the chat, chilling with us. And Ron, you already getting the love, man. So yeah, go ahead and everybody just get ready for it. Go ahead, Eric. What you got?
Can we start out with a quick happy birthday to Ron Jr.?
Yes.
Let's do that.
Yes, we can. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Cheers to you.
There you go. Salute, my brother. Just turned 20, finally out of the teens. I forget that so often, bro. Like the way he plays and the way he carries himself, he just seems so much older than that. Outside of basketball, he just seems very mature. You know what I mean? So it's good to see that. I can't wait to see him in 2 or 3 years where he's going to be this progression. It's going to be crazy.
Yep,
crazy, man. All right, so let's.
All the time. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, all the time. Go ahead.
No, yeah, they always give him that problem. They say the way he carries himself on the court, the way he carries the same energy in practice, like he has that demeanor of being older than he is. And to think that he's just now hitting 20 is pretty hilarious. But yeah, he's a good dude. I'm excited about his future, man. It's going to be a good time, especially starting with Summer League for sure.
Yes, sir. I think that Dog Pound Jr. nickname that Stu gave him might be going away as he gets older. Maybe he may be Dog Pound, period.
Yeah, he's getting his scraps up. It's all good.
He earned the stripes. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Sir.
All right. So let's get into the topics we have for tonight, man. Like I said, shout out to you guys for pulling up, man. As always, guys, we want you guys to be involved in this conversation. So if we miss your comment, repost it or post it in caps or super chat, whatever you're feeling. And we will be sure to try to include as many comments as possible. So just a couple hours ago, the Detroit Pistons dropped the official Summer League roster. And here it is. You guys can take a look at that. We're going to break a lot of these guys, a few guys I have on my radar that I'm looking at, but we're going to look at the roster and focus on a few guys that we have our eye on. You can take a look here. We've got some notable here. We've got TJ Bickerstaff, who I believe is actually the nephew of Coach Bickerstaff. I think he's on the squad as well. So we have Ron Holland, of course. Daniss Jenkins pops out at me. Bobby Klintman pops out. Chaz Lanier, shout out to the rookie. He pops out. Tolu Smith for me pops out, and a few other guys. Maybe a few guys that pop out for you. Let us know in the comments who pops out for you guys. Eric, is anybody popping out for you looking at these guys here?
Yeah, I'm excited to see a lot of these guys play. You mentioned Daniss Jenkins. I think he was fantastic with the Motor City Cruise. Anybody that got to check out Motor City Cruise basketball last season, he was a standout guy that really carried a lot for them at the point guard position. Really dynamic scorer, pretty underrated shooter, dynamic athlete, even for his size, where he's not super big, but he will fly and put one on your head. Like if you're not prepared, like he's unbelievable. He's a damn good player, and I think he's going to have a really good showing in Summer League. If I were to predict a starting 5 out of this bunch right now, because again, it's a lot of guys I'm excited about. I think they're going to go Jenkins at the 1. I think Chaz will start as well at the 2. We're going to see Ron at the 3. Bobi at the 4 will be my guess. And then I think they'll probably round it out with Smith at the 5. I think those are some of the more tenured guys along with Chaz as the rookie. But
we be here, bro.
You know what time it is.
But we didn't talk about any projections or starters or anything like that. We had the team make the graphic. We hopped on and just had to go live. So yeah, we on the same page, bro. Go ahead.
We just got it like that. Yeah, I'm excited to see this core, man. I think a lot of these guys. Someone else, again, I don't think he's going to start, but someone I'm excited to watch. Bryce Williams. I did a lot of digging on his highlight tape. Very versatile scorer. I think he's going to find himself under a lot of highlights and, surprising a lot of people in this summer league with his versatility as a scorer, as a guard. I think he's got a really good rangy jump shot, explosiveness to get to the hoop. I'm really excited to see what he can bring. Again, with this mix, I like their ability to be able to play together. They all fill different roles on offense and defense. I think it's going to be a pretty good collection of talent bringing in for the summer league for the Pistons. Yeah,
man. I think they got a chance to do some damage too. Just as you mentioned the word talent, and I think it's talent all up and down that list on this roster. So looking forward to seeing that. So we're going to get into it, guys. So first and foremost, keep in mind, it's just summer league, right? When it comes to summer league, we're looking for very specific things, or at least I'll tell you what I'm looking for, Eric, and then you can let me know what you're looking for, right? So for me with summer league, I'm looking for specific things. I'm not falling in love with the box scores, how many top 10 highlights you can get. In many cases, wins and losses even for me aren't as important as many may think. Because for where the Pistons are, for me, in their trajectory right now, I want to see growth and development, and that's it. The Pistons, they have a very talented young team. They got tons of upside. It just has to be developed. They have players who've been doing that, by the way, taking advantage of that, developing in the G League, right? So for those who are watching, before it was a G League, it was actually called the D League, the Development League. You guys probably remember that, many of you. And that's why I think the Motor City Cruise has been very, very important and instrumental. You mentioned it. Guys like Daniss Jenkins, Bobi Klintman, Tolu Smith. I think that really has helped them grow and develop their games. And a lot of times they play the same style of play as the Pistons do. Different franchises do the same thing. They have the same connectivity between the G League team and the NBA team, which helps the players progress. So when watching Summer League this go around, I'm looking for improvements in individual games. I want to see that development. So what are you looking for? Is there anything particular that you watch for during first Summer League, that you're looking for that's like pops out at you?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same board with you. Again, you're going to see some sloppiness in summer league. Like that's just normal. But by the end of that final stretch in the 4th game, or maybe the 5th, I don't know if they announced the 5th one yet or not. I just want to see, like you said, you want to see the progression. I want to see how they correct their mistakes and how they grow as a team by the time that 4th game gets there. Again, I think a lot of these guys, they're very talented, but through the 4 games, you can see different things like how they play and connect together as a team, and especially if they all play. Like sometimes I remember Cade in his rookie year, he only played 3 games in summer league. Then he sat the 4th. So we'll see if Ron plays all 4. We'll see if Bobi plays all 4. It's not irregular to see somebody stand out and then not have to play the final game. But I want to see just how they progress. I want to see how Bobi is a connector as a stretch forward, to see if he can maybe find a way to stand out enough to maybe facilitate some minutes as a stretch forward. Because as of right now, the Pistons don't have a backup one behind Tobias Harris at this moment on the roster. So it's a big opportunity for him. And even Chaz, I mean, again, it's just summer league, but while it's not a lot of pressure to do too much, it is an opportunity for you to at least state your claim for getting some minutes or having an opportunity with the team. So, while if Chaz or some of these other guys, like even Ron was a scoring dynamo his rookie year, but he made a big name for himself as a defender and doing a lot of the energetic, dirty work in the regular season. So, I'm very excited to see how they're able to grow. I want to see if maybe Ron's put on some muscle by the time summer league starts. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of stuff to pay attention to. And he got his number 5 back. So maybe he's got some little motivation coming into the summer league for him.
Yes, bro. We're going to talk about that a little later on too. Great eye. You must have saw the same thing that I saw when it came to that. Ricky Sanders here says Bobi Klintman is the Swedish Lamar Odom.
Oh, wow.
The Swedish right-handed Lamar Odom? Okay.
Right, exactly. We'll take that.
As far as being a point forward, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, great player, man. So if he's anything of that, yeah, we got us a player for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has that kind of trajectory for sure. So let's go ahead and talk about Ron first. Let's get into Ron. So like we said, first of all, shout out to Ron for his birthday. Turned 20 years old, the ripe old age of 20. And a couple of months ago, Ron crashed our show with our guy Charles Hill. And Ron said to us that, the Pistons, he said, we're not done. He said, we said, congrats on the season. He said, appreciate it. We're not done. We got a lot more we want to do. Mm-hmm. And that they're just getting started. So shout out to him, man, for sure. So Eric, we talked about it a little bit, kind of scratch the surface, but let's kind of get a little bit deeper as far as these individual guys, a few of these guys. When it comes to Ron, what is it that you're looking to see from him? Is it more of the same you're looking to see from him, like becoming better in the areas that we saw, or maybe more so a little bit adding to his game in some areas? What do you think?
There's 2 areas I want to see specifically. I mean, I'm already sold on the defense, which is really just a matter of effort. And I think he's going to be able to step up. Maybe the one area he can show a little bit more growth in this summer league, in these exhibition games, is maybe just his talking on the court. Like, I don't think he misses a whole lot of assignments, but if he's able to kind of lead guys and point people to where they need to be, okay, I think that maybe takes a step in to show some of his understanding and his growth. Offensively, I want to see a little bit of that jump shot come together. He puts a lot of time in with Fred Vincent in practice. Him and Sasser actually shoot together when they're practicing, towards the end of the day. So I want to see if he's got a little bit more of that efficiency raising. I mean, he's always had the confidence in his shot. He's always talked about before or after the draft last year that he wanted to be looked at as one of the better shooters of his class. So I want to see if he puts, a little bit of that to proof right there in the summer league. I also want to see a little bit more of the ball handling come together as well. I don't think he's a bad ball handler, but I would like to see maybe some sets where maybe he's bringing the ball up and initiating offense. Maybe he's running some screen and roll sets. We saw a lot of his scoring be in transition downhill, kind of not sporadic, but more so in like kind of unplanned scoring moments. Now in the summer league, you can actually game plan for Ron to be your number 1 guy. So I want to see how the coaching staff uses him as a number 1 scoring option instead of the guy that just kind of is doing the dirty work and making the beneficiary of his own work on defense. So yeah, I want to see how involved he can be in that set in terms of being their go-to scorer, because he will be their number 1 guy for sure.
Yeah. Ron Senior says Senior Cinco is back for sure. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. It's funny you mentioned the ball handling piece, because like his ball handling coming in was a lot better than I thought. Yeah, a lot better than I thought. Going back to early in the season, the Hornets game that we lost, that should have been a game winner for Ron. When I think Malik actually caused the steal, Ron got the ball, went coast to coast, and there was defenders on both sides of him. Yep. And there was time left. I'm just like, no, Ron. And then he goes and he makes, I'm like, oh, Ron. Okay, my bad. You know what I'm saying? So his ball handling is a lot better than I thought. I do want to see him work on that. For me, like, I'm kind of with you. I see him maybe playing the first 3 games, maybe 4 games, but even in those games, I'm not really looking for a ton of minutes every game from him. Right. This is a guy who was one of the more important players on the bench of last season, pretty much all last season, day 1 as a rookie. And he has experience. He's played in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, he's, for me, ahead of, and I've said this before, he's ahead of schedule. Agreed. Especially for a rookie, right? Yep. I sat here, right here last season, and I just kept saying, I kept finding myself saying over and over, like back in November or December, like that the way he was looking then was how I was hoping he would look by the end of the season. Right? I thought a lot of rookies, it takes some time. They kind of struggle early. But he was able to come in and be impactful very early. Like, he looked comfortable on the NBA floor. He didn't look out of place. You didn't see the deer in the headlights look. He was ready to go. Because we know sometimes for rookies, it takes time to get that comfortability, but it didn't take Ron long at all. And in his words, I was just hooping for real. That's kind of his go-to phrase when they ask a question. I was just hooping for real. So he was just playing his game, and his type of game is impactful. And I think that's really what helped him, just a solid play. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Again, the word that JB always uses to describe him last season was fearless. So,
Yeah.
in order to kind of grow on that fearlessness, is to take those next step of showing that you're not scared. Maybe a step
Right.
back here to, working on his 3-point game. Again, he's going to have a lot of looks to kind of be the guy. We saw some of the flashes last season, and he scored in varieties too. We saw some of the jump shot come together. We saw him score in transition, catch some alley oops, and even the regular season where he's able to dunk on big guys and catch some of the tough passes that Cade throws to him in transition. He does a good job of catching the ball as well while running full speed. So again, I love his game. I love the way he like his nature kind of fits the Pistons mold and their identity. Again, they're huge on establishing the foundation and guys who play on both sides of the floor. So, Ron is a guy that gives, effort on both sides. I think he's going to be able to take that next step. I think we're going to see it as soon as Summer League when this offense is coming together.
Yeah, man. And as far as things that, we need him to work, that we'd like to see him work on, we talked about the shooting. We know he's not a great shooter yet, but he definitely is getting there. We know that early out the gate, he struggled with a shot a little bit, but his confidence was never there or never wavered. It was always there. He kept shooting and he got better and better with his jumper. It was some games where you would see him go 0 for 3, 0 for 4. And it's just like, man, at first I was like, all right, pull back a little bit, bro. Pull back. I know you can knock it down, but just pull. But like the confidence was never there. You didn't see him shoot one, miss one, and then just take the next time. Like if he's open, he's taking a shot. And that's one thing that Charles Hill was saying to him. His trainer and development coach was just that, if you miss one, you're not gonna have the confidence to make the next one. So just keep shooting them. And having a Fred Benson to help you along the way and help these guys along the way is only going to make him better as a shooter. But the confidence piece, which a lot of times is the most important piece for guys, has never been an issue. I think that's very, very important for a guy like him.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in practice when I'm covering the team is like his shooting sessions. So him and Sasser will work with Fred Vincent. They go through all 5 of the perimeter spots, from the corner, the wing, the top of the key, other wing, corner, and they just shoot as many threes as they can to kind of get a rhythm and work on some things. And then after that, Ron, I think, and Sasser actually, they shoot against one of the guys that work on the staff. I keep forgetting the name, but they do a shoot off against him, and Ron is talking mad trash to everybody. See, watch what I do to him. Watch how I line him up right here. Even if he don't win, it's still cool to just see him be confident and brazen about that. Like I want to see Sasser kind of develop some of that. He's kind of like the quiet one. You can kind of see that with his twin brother the same way. So, like, I love that infectious nature from Ron. And again, I think it's going to be even take a step forward, knowing that he has, that playoff experience to him now. He's hungry after what they went through last season. He knows he has an opportunity, knowing where the depth is with the wings that are on the roster. Right. And I feel like he's going to come in very motivated. And I think, again, we're going to see it as soon as this upcoming week.
Let's talk about defensively too, man. We talk about guys. You just mentioned guys who can be impactful on both ends of the court. And for him, I think what he brings defensively, like the fact that he doesn't take any plays off, his motor's always running hot. And just watching him last year, he's already a solid perimeter defender. Already, we saw last season him guarding guys who were much shorter and quicker than him on the perimeter. Guys like Tyrese Maxey, Trae Young. Quick, speedy guards, and he was often able to still stay in front. Right. And that, you don't see that too often from 6'6", 6'7" guys being able to guard those guys on the island. It's tough. But his defensive ceiling already is very high. So I'm looking for him this summer in summer league to give us more of the same. But of course, playing to his identity. But hopefully, we'll get to see some leaps in the areas with his jump shot, and even in the mid range. Just working out to that 3-point line, getting consistent out there. Just when it's there, just taking those shots too, getting to a spot, and that's where ball handling comes in, like you mentioned. So yeah, definitely things that these guys can work on. All these guys can work on. I think Ron is going to make a major jump next season, man.
Yeah, the defense is going to
anything else on that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. The defense is going to tell a lot. I loved seeing even last season where, like you said, the guys he was picking up in staggered rotations where it was maybe the primary scoring guard or one of the forwards. Like he was always willing to go take that opportunity and take that challenge. Like I love seeing that from him. Knowing he's going to be able to put on a little bit more strength too. Knowing he's taking the steps to maybe develop to learn to defend without fouling, which was another issue he had. For good chunk of the season, but I think he's picked up on a lot of that. I mean, he soaked up a lot of game from Tim Hardaway Jr., even Malik Beasley, other defenders as well, gave him a lot of insight on what it takes to defend without fouling. he is good at using his hands, but I think because he's a rookie, he's not really going to get those benefits, even when he's swiping and hitting all balls. So, again, I think the development is going to be there very soon. It's going to be exciting to see for him for sure.
For sure. For sure, bro. Now, side note, this may be something, maybe nothing. You mentioned it earlier. Ron Sr. mentioned it. I did notice that, Ron's listed jersey number is no longer 00. It's now back to 5, and we know B's wore 5 last season. So when Malik was signed in the offseason, Ron gave him his jersey. He gave him his jersey. But Ron originally did wear the number 5. Here's the picture you can see with his fam here and Ron Sr. here. So he had number 5 to start, right? And we know that he went to 00. And now he has gone back to the number 5. So I don't know if that's any indication of anything regarding Malik. I hope not, because I would still like to have him on his team, if everything clears and he's able to. But I just didn't notice that. So, it may be something, it may be nothing, just something that I observed. I know, Eric, you said you observed it too. So I know Ron is happy to have his number back, though, for sure.
Yeah, you can only be 00 for so long. I mean, I understand being a rookie, you got to make your sacrifices, but I know he wanted that number back. I actually asked him about it when he was drafted, at the Pistons practice center. He said he wanted to get it, his number he played with, and he was drafted number 5. And I even liked Malik kind of talking about it. He said, he's the one who stepped out and gave it to him. They talked about it a little bit. He said he pushed back, but said, you know what, hey, you the vet, you've been here, you've earned your stripe. I'll go. It's time for me to earn mine. So I feel like even with this notion here, it's not like a I respected his end. I remember when when Ben Wallace came back and Rodney Stuckey wouldn't give him his number 3 back. Yeah, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Come on, back in the day. Come on, Stuckey, you my dog, but you got to know you got to give that up. But
not only did you just get here, but you're also not that guy,
bruh. Not at all. Come on, man. You turning down an icon of the city right now. Don't be disrespectful. But I like this for Ron. I think this is gonna be cool. I think it'll help him out. I think we'll see a lot of Ron jerseys in LCA within the crowd because he's done a great job of ingratiating himself with the community. So it's gonna be cool to see that feedback within the people and the fans.
Yeah, Ron's a people's champ for sure. He's definitely people's champ. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to our next guy, bro. Bobi Klintman. Bobi Klintman, man. Bobi Klintman is a guy that you guys know I've been high on since pretty much this time last year. Before it was the popular thing to do, right? I watched him play in Summer League. I know you watched him play in Summer League. We were hitting each other up during Summer League, just saying, yeah, do you see this guy? Yeah, I see this guy. And I quickly became a fan of him, man. King and I talk about it all the time. I told King after Summer League concluded last year that, Bobi was going to be an important piece of this team. And I still think he's going to be. For me, certain guys kind of stand out in Summer League. And it's usually, for me, players who show that they understand how to play team ball or can be impactful on the floor in different ways. Those are the things I really look at. The one-on-one highlights are cool. Poster dunks, all that stuff is fun. But what can you do within the construct of an offense, right? Do you understand the fundamentals of the game? Bobi is not a guy who's an elite one-on-one player. He's not a high flyer. He's not a 95th percentile athlete, right? But he's very smart, has a very high IQ, and his game is already pretty polished. And to add on to that, he's a 6'9" point forward. He can play multiple positions. He can do a lot of things. He's got great vision. He's able to see plays before they happen. You know what I mean? He knows where he's going with the ball because of it, before he even gets there. And there's this one play where I actually saw that in Summer League of last year. And that's really when he kind of grabbed my attention. So let's go ahead and pull that clip up, guys, and take a quick look, and then we'll get back to it.
They take some of the sting out of the Pistons on the
Klintman with the Don Johnson.
One more time. For those in the back.
They take some of the sting out of the Pistons on the
Klintman with the Don Johnson.
So that was the play for me, bro. Yeah. Yeah, you saw it. That was the play for me. I was like, this dude is nice. That was, I don't know what it was about that. It was just for me the fact that he was able to see what was going to happen before it happened. I love seeing things like that. So that play, and you see he was having fun because he already knew what was going to, he saw the play developing. He knew where it was going. And it was just one of those plays where it's like, yeah, this guy gets it. So what were your thoughts with Bobi Klintman when you first saw him, and what are you looking forward to with him this in summer league this year?
Man, we didn't talk about a lot of the roles that a lot of guys are going to be playing on this team. Again, I'm expecting a lot of shots from Chaz. I'm expecting a lot of shots from Ron. I'm expecting Daniss to put up 10 to 15 shots in his time. But in those roles and in these rosters, you need other guys that can specialize at different things. So, like you spoke to Bobi's game, he's not an ISO scoring guy where he's just going to, chuck it 20, 30 times and try to go get 50. That's not his game. You need, I used this word before, you need connectors to kind of round out everybody else's responsibilities. So having a guy like Bobi that can, catch the ball, or either bringing the ball up the floor, catching it at, the elbow and letting plays develop, finding cutters and, hitting them on, cuts to the basket or shots in the corner. Like, he's very good with his vision and his anticipation. It's one thing to be able to throw a pass, but being able to anticipate it as well. Like, I got that from Cade. Like, the pass, you talk about amazing passes. The pass that he threw to Sadiq cross court against the Cavs, where like they're going in transition, takes one dribble, it did one pass between two guys to dart. Like, being able to have that anticipation, and again, that's as a rookie when he did that. Knowing these young players who don't have, maybe the best experience yet. Like, again, we saw Bobi play most of his time in the G League, and knowing that he was able to even step into the last game of the season last year and again play that connecting piece, work on defense, set guys up for open shots. Like, that's an important, valuable piece to have. It's why guys like Draymond Green have been so valuable in their career. Like, Draymond's a guy that maybe won't give you 20, 30 shots a game, but can he do all the dirty things to make everybody else better around him by setting picks, hitting them in their spots with easy passes, giving them open looks, communicating on the floor. Like, those little things matter a lot. And I think we're going to see a lot of that with Bobi in his connecting piece as, like you said, a stretch point forward. He's somebody else I want to see maybe put on a little bit more muscle, but I feel like for right now in the summer league, I think he's going to be having an opportunity to shine and show how valuable he can be on this team with all the things that he can offer.
Yeah, for sure, man. You're hitting a lot of points that I was going to mention. So yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. I was surprised he only shot 31%, I think, from three with the Crews last season, but I know he's much better than that. I expect that to go up. I know he was doing a lot for that team. I think that's part of why he was just a big part of that offense, and they demanded more of him because of it. But I think, the guys he's going to be playing with, if he gets his opportunity, are going to get him better shots. I think that's going to go up for sure because he's got great form. He's got great balance, great timing on his release. Like, everything looks good as far as his jumper. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that with him. But I do see him next year, bro, as a backup for. I think he's going to be the backup for. I know we got Paul Reed. Shout out to Paul Reed. I think we either need to get bigger at the backup for or more versatile at the backup for. One or two, either offensively versatile or bigger defensively. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
Do you think, I got a question for you? How quick do you think he's going to be in that position? Do you think he's going to take it off rip when regular season starts? Maybe before the All-Star break? Like, how soon do you think he'll be there?
I think before the All-Star break. Okay. Because I think once again, I think he understands how to play the game. I don't think it's going to be as much of a learning curve that may be needed for him. I do think defensively he needs to get a little bit better. He's got to get a little bit bigger and stronger. I saw that last year in the last two games against the Bucks, the back-to-back games, where he was kind of getting, out physical a little bit, kind of not pushed around, but kind of getting moved off a spot at times. So I think he definitely needs to get stronger. I think that's going to be a big part of when he actually does make that jump. Because, defense first is how we get things done in Detroit. So I do think that's a big piece, but I do think it's going to happen before the All-Star break. At some point in the year, for sure, I do think he is going to get that spot. That's a good question, though, bro. But yeah, I have a lot of confidence in him, man. I mean, he's not a perfect player by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think he has a lot of variables and intangibles that can really help take this team to the next level, especially with that second unit. So, yeah, I think he's going to be that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at that at all. I think he's, again, very, very dimensional type of player. And even if it's again, there's a possibility he could be that guy. Do I think he'll play maybe 20, 30 minutes or 20 off the bench? Probably not. Maybe 10 to 15 to kind of butt up from there. But I think that's good enough for him. I don't think he has to be looked at as, a super X factor. I think they'll wait and see those gradual steps. And I think, his ability to kind of fit in with any kind of rotation and impact it in multi different ways, I think will serve them a lot. Like one of my favorite plays he did last season was obviously against the Bucks, but I think they had a fast break where the Bucks were going at him 2-on-1 and he stopped two guys by himself. Like, I think that plays exactly to what they want. It shows the intelligence. It's one thing. Intelligence on the offense and defense is not the same thing. And being able to kind of play in that kind of space on an island against two guys in transition is not easy to pull off. And he's skilled enough to stop that and then bring the ball up on his own as well. Like, I love his game. I really do hope they kind of give that opportunity. If they decide maybe to add another guy in his place to maybe give him some time first, I can understand that. But the opportunity is 100% there for him. Yeah,
even if they want to go with Paul Reed to start the season, I wouldn't be too upset with that. I do think, it needs to be upgraded a little bit at that spot, but I do like what Paul Reed brings. So maybe to your point, maybe that's how the season starts, with Paul Reed being that guy that comes in, being part of that three big rotation. But I do see Bobi I see him pretty much taking the minutes that Fontecchio left behind, The difference for me between those two guys is that, Bobi can stretch the floor, but unlike Tech, he can also play make for you. Shout out to Tech, for the time that he was here, the contributions he made. But I do think that Bobi can do more things for you, like play make. I feel much more confident and comfortable with the ball in Bobi's hands than I do in Fontecchio's hands. There's so many times last year we talk about all the time with Fontecchio where the thing he does best is shoot, but he was not a consistent knockdown shooter. And so he would try to do other things like putting the ball on the floor and playmaking. He would often get caught in the air trying to make a pass because nobody helped off. So everybody's home, because he wasn't able to get by his guy. He couldn't break the defense down, and he would get caught in the air. That would happen so often. He didn't have that. He didn't have the burst needed to be able to attack closeouts. You know what I mean? So that kind of thing I think really hurt him, and that's why he really wasn't able to be effective. He just never really caught a rhythm, and so I think Bobi is going to, or could potentially, soak up all those minutes that he left behind. A little bit of addition by subtraction. But yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a rotational player because of the versatility that he gives you offensively. Like you mentioned, that you can put him anywhere in the floor. You can play 3 or 4 different spots. That gives you a lot of versatility offensively. It makes you hard to guard. So I think that's going to bode well for the Pistons, with the team they're trying to build. Of course, leading with defense, depth, and offensive versatility. But yeah, I'm high on Bobi Klintman, man. Really high on that dude, for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to. I think it would be a huge stamp on Trajan Langdon's resume to be able to kind of pull him off. Like we saw the early stamping of him. He was supposed to be an immediate G League guy, which he was, but he was on a 2-way contract, and they signed him to a 4-year deal where they can kind of flip it back and forth. And I feel like this would be a huge plus in Trajan Langdon's department right now if he were able to get him in the rotation this early. Because I don't think I don't want to say he's ahead of schedule, but at this point he could make up a lot of time and space, based on the opportunity that's in front of him right now. Again, it was very hard seeing, Fontecchio try to lead fast break opportunities and try to find open shooters and throw the ball out of bounds. Like, you don't have to worry about that with Bobi. He's very solid with his handle from what we've seen thus far. Very good at creating his own shot, creating shots for others. And yeah, it's going to start as soon as Summer League. It's going to be fun.
And very under control. Very under control. He's going to be a guy who's not going to hurt you on a basketball court. He's not going to have eye-popping numbers every single night, but he's going to make the right play to the right guy at the right time. And you can have a lot of confidence in him. That's what I like too, is just having that confidence in a guy like that. So young in the league. So Daryl says, shout out to Daryl. What's going on, bro? Says Bobi Klintman is the future Sheet Wallace. That's a bit ambitious. Yeah. That's a bit Devon ambitious. Shout out to Devon. But I mean, I think he can bring some of those things, right? Yeah. He's not quite as tall, he's not quite as long. She was 6'11". Bobi I think is 6'9", 6'10" maybe. And then to Rasheed he was a defensive beast when he wanted to be. He's one of the most naturally just gifted, I think, players I've probably ever seen in the league. Just naturally, natural ability. The KGs, the Dirks, the Tim Duncans of the world. He should have been firmly in that conversation and should be every time. And he would have been had he had the right mentality. So Rasheed that's best case scenario. I mean, if he can get to that level, we're a championship team. Period. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. I think Lamar Odom's probably a little more safe just because
Yeah.
of his ability to bring the ball up. And he was maybe, I don't say she wasn't unathletic, but I think he had a little bit more athleticism and wiggle to him, where she was just a bruiser and he would just beat you up off of attitude. Like, that crop of power forwards back in that era, she could have been number one on that list if he was just dialed in every night. You know, we saw, his later years with the Pistons where he kind of got a little bit lazy defensively, really just turned into a stretch for shooter and really didn't have the same lock-in and buy-in defensively. But I don't want to put that on Bobi. Yeah, Sheed was one of them ones. When people remember him from the Blazers up to where he was with the Pistons, he was spectacular, especially when he got angry. Oh my God, she was so fun to watch.
Just ask the Lakers in Game 4 when he got that technical foul.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll leave that there. But yeah, appreciate you guys, man, for your comments. Keep them coming. Let's move on, bro, to Daniss Jenkins. Daniss Jenkins, man. So Daniss Jenkins is, for me, he was the other guy who jumped out for me last year in Summer League. It was Bobi and Daniss. Those are the two guys that really jumped out. Oh, of course, Ron, obviously, but the other two guys who were under the radar were Bobi and Daniss for sure. And, a lot of people don't notice he had to take a very unconventional route after going undrafted in last year's draft. I think he went to St. John's. I think he transferred to St. John's with Coach Pitino, if I'm not mistaken. But he went undrafted. But despite that, like you said with Trajan Langdon, he saw something in this guy and he gave him a 2-way contract with the Pistons last year. And this dude is a 6'3" guard. You mentioned about 6'3". He's got a 6'6" wingspan, and he's a defensive dog. You can see he takes pride on that end of the court. I love watching him guard. He gets up into you. A lot of time he's picking you up 94. He does a lot of little things well too. He navigates screens well. He's pretty good in recovery out of the pick and roll, right? Often being able to get back in front, not getting caught in the hip, being able to come back and block the shot. He actually did that a few times last year in Summer League. And then offensively too, he's a solid floor general. He takes care of the ball. He's really good at orchestrating the offense. And like you mentioned, the 3-point shooting, he's solid defensively. You can't leave him open. I think he was about 34% last year for the Crews. I can see that getting up to 36, maybe 37 from long range. I think he has that potential, but you're not going to be able to just leave him open. So I think he kind of has an all-around game that you kind of need those guys in your team, guys who just can just kind of get things back under control, or if you get in foul trouble, or if you have injury, like just having a guy who can step in, next man up mentality, and be able to get the job done for you. I think he's one of those guys. What do you think?
Yeah, him and Bobi played really well off of each other too with the Crews.
Yeah.
Last season he played 32 games, played over 36 minutes a game, averaged 21 a game in scoring, 7 assists a game, just over 3 turnovers as well. But yeah, he was fantastic for the Crews. He was one of those guys too, where if the opponents were going on a run, he would have an instant play, whether it would be dunking on somebody or a crossover and a huge 3 to kind of cut down the noise and get the Crews back into it and change the tide of the momentum for the Crews to get back in it. I really like the way he plays. I think he's done a good job of learning from Jamil McMillan, the Crews head coach, and I think we're going to see a lot of that growth as well in his game. In the Summer League as well. I think he can be one of the more explosive, guys, for the Pistons in this Summer League based on the rotation. I think he's going to have a lot of resources around him with other shooters around, having a guy like Ron Holland as well that can help create some open looks for him as well. I think he's going to be very dangerous. I mean, we saw guys like Marcus Sasser kind of light things up just from having different opportunities in scoring. I think we can see something similar because they're both kind of explosive scorers that can get hot at any moment. So I'm very excited to see what he can do and the energy that he can bring to the Pistons.
So last year, at the end of open practice, we were all there. King was there with us. You were there at Wayne State for the open practice. We all witnessed Daniss Jenkins catching a 360 dunk lob off of the side of the backboard. And thankfully for you guys, I was able to catch the tail end of it. So let's go ahead and check it out. One more time. Watch it from the very beginning.
Bring it back.
6'3". It's not a lot of 6'3" guys that can do that, bro.
No, not at
That's
all.
insane.
Yeah,
insane, bro.
That
Not a lot
little
of guys, period, who can do that. Go ahead.
Thanks. No, there's a lot of when they had a little dunk contest for him last season. I think it was him. I think it was Ron that stole the show. But yeah, that was the one that put him over the top. I think him, and I think what's my man's name? I think Stevens, Lamar Stevens, who went over to the Grizzlies after last season.
Okay.
Where he started off with the Pistons. Yeah, they were the three that kind of took the story or took the whole thing by storm.
Yeah, bro.
The moves that they were pulling off. But yeah, for him as a 6'3" guy to float like that. Expect a lot of that from the summer league too. He gonna catch somebody off guard in transition. Just wait.
Facts. He gonna catch a few bodies. Everything, bro. If he gets an opportunity, he gonna catch a few bodies for sure. Because you don't see a lot of guys who have that kind of burst at that size. Being able to that's not a lot of guys that can do that. You think about guys like Ja. It's not a lot of guys who have that type of lift off at that size. So yeah, we're gonna see, man. He's got a lot of potential, man. He's got a lot of tools to be a good player for this team. And in summer league, I'm looking for him to run the offense, right? And play very tough defense, creating turnovers with his defense and getting out in transition. You know, getting to guys like Ron for posters, right? I'm looking for that kind of stuff. If he can get his 3-ball up a few percentage points from last season with the Crews, I think he could carve out a niche role for this team. I don't know if it's going to be like it probably won't be every night type of role consistently, but he can be that guy that when called upon, you know, he can step in and help the Pistons, you know, whenever he's called upon. And you can't have enough guys like that. You can't have enough depth in today's NBA, especially when you factor in things like injuries. You look at the teams who were in the finals. You got the Thunder and the Pacers. They were both built on depth, both of them. You know, they had one star. They had a star and a half, basically, or a superstar and a half, pretty much, right? And so that's kind of how teams are being built now. You got to have the guy and then a bunch of guys that are really, really good around him. And I think the Pistons have exactly that, and they're building towards that. So what are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we see it over the past, really, maybe the past decade or so. We've seen a lot of Pistons kind of become the summer league heroes. We've seen Henry Ellison look like a star in summer league. Kyle Singer look like a star in summer league. Andre Drummond look like a star in summer league. We've seen a lot of these guys, Stanley Johnson coming in looking like a star. I think Daniss is going to be one of those guys that add himself to that conversation. I don't know. I feel like he's just going to be one of those guys that kind of takes you by storm with a lot of the way he plays, because I don't think people are going to really be scouting him too tough, which they really don't do in summer league anyway. But I feel like he's so slept on with his size and his skill set, and he's not really known super high around the league. I feel like he's going to surprise a ton of people and become one of those next summer league superstars for the Pistons.
I'm not looking like this because of your answer, because what you just said is good. Marvin, we're not doing this tonight, bro.
Oh, come on.
We're not doing the light skin jokes tonight. I thought we left that in the past. I thought we settled that like weeks ago, bro.
It just won't
Come
stop,
on, man. Y'all just won't stop, bro. I can't catch a break with y'all, man. I thought we was in the off season. We was gonna be able to get a chill a little bit. Guess not. I'm done with you for tonight, bro. All right, let's move on, man. Let's move on before we get out of control. Tolu Smith. So Tolu Smith is a guy that really isn't talked about as much as the other guys, but from what I've seen, he's a solid big man. He's 6'11", and to be honest, he's the closest thing we have to a true footer right now. You know, he's pretty much the only guy. And, you know, he's a good interior player, good rebounder, good shot blocker, pretty good lob threat from what I've seen. That could be important for the Pistons at some point. He's got pretty good touch around the rim. Sometimes I do see him bobbling the ball a little bit when he catches it, like he's trying to move too fast. But it doesn't happen too often that I've seen. So I am watching it, but I don't think it's a major thing right now. He's a pretty good finisher, but he's got pretty good footwork too for a big man. He did a spin move last year for a dunk, looked like Akeem Olajuwon. And it was like, okay. So you see flashes with him. And then defensively, he's pretty solid as well. In the pick and roll, I was watching him. He's pretty solid at guarding too, out of the pick and roll, because he's 6'11". He doesn't have the longest wingspan, but he's got good anticipation, does a good job of hedging. Defensively long enough for this, off the screen to allow the guard to recover and get back in front, while at the same time not leaving this guy entirely either, right? So he understands how to play the pick and roll. I like that. And he doesn't, like I mentioned, he doesn't have a crazy long wingspan. He's got a 7-foot wingspan, so it's not really that long for a guy his height. You know, for example, JD is 6'10", right? So he's not extremely tall, but I think he's got a 7'5" wingspan. So he makes up for the 6'10" with his wingspan. Isaiah Stewart, I know for sure, he's 6'8". He's got a 7'4" wingspan. You know what I mean? So 6'11" with a 7 isn't great, but he is athletic. So I think his athleticism can help him kind of offset that a little bit, because he does get off the floor quick. From what you've seen from Tolu Smith, does anything jump out at you?
Yeah, I think the Crews have done a really good job really over the past several seasons of getting the most out of their big men. Tolu has been really impressive. He's a double-double machine, averaged 18 points last season, over 13 rebounds a game, 5 on the offensive glass, very efficient and helpful defensively as well. Yeah, he's one of the really notable big men that they've done a really good job with developing. Like, I know one of these players has kind of, become a punchline, unfortunately, but even like guys like Jonte Porter, who me and you saw personally, like he was fantastic under their development, as a scorer, a passer, and a defender. And I feel like Tolu kind of has some of that to his game as well. I'm excited to see it translate. Again, there's a lot less pressure, even though every opportunity is a big opportunity. But I think it'll be a lot more free and open for him to kind of just do his thing without, having too many bright lights on him in the summer league. So I'm excited to see how it translates, especially with the guys he already has some familiarity with as well. Being able to go over there with Daniss and Bobi and some of the other guys, he'll be able to kind of have a bit of a rhythm with the guys he knows. And I think Jamel McMillan, is on the list, if I'm not mistaken, of the coaches. Nope. Sorry, my apologies. He's not. Nope. Kevin Burleson. Nope. He will not be a part of that. But even without that, I think knowing the teammates that he has that'll be traveling with him, I think will be a huge benefit to his game, and I'm excited to see what he looks like.
Yeah, man. I think he's going to get more opportunity this go around, especially because the Pistons still have a need for another big man or two. If he can show consistent rim protection and rebounding, I could see him earning a roster spot. And he would immediately be the biggest player in our team. And just having that extra size, I think, is important too. Just having bodies. And he's more than just a body, but I'm just mean as far as having size, right? We saw in the playoffs last year against the Knicks. We all saw it, right? The rebounding, the size. That was kind of a problem for the Pistons, Not so much in the box scores per se every game, but you would see it in spots in the game, late in games last season where they just kept getting offensive board after offensive board after offensive board, and we just couldn't secure the ball. We just couldn't and a lot of it, to be fair, was long rebounds because they took a lot of threes. But some of them was like, you got to grab that one. You got to get that one. And so there were times when they would play defense for close to a minute straight. Yeah. Right? Just because offense rebound, 14. Offense rebound, 14. They couldn't get the rebound. So I think just having guys on the roster who can at time, in spots when you have that size disadvantage or mismatch where you can have him come in and be able to be kind of an impactful player on that end. So I really think that he does have a shot to make the roster. I like him. I think he's a good player. But once again, just having that size, this go around this season, we're going to need it against guys like Cat and Mitchell Robertson. They're still going to be there, so we're going to have to, fight with those guys. So I think having more size is going to be helpful. And I think having a guy like Tolu Smith, there for you if you need him is going to be important. So I'm looking forward to him having a good summer league showing for sure. Any further thoughts on Tolu?
Yeah, I think he's going to fit perfectly. I think maybe 7 or 8 of the guys that are on the roster, I think are maybe 6'7", 6'8", or taller. So they're going to be coming in with a lot of size on their side. They're very athletic as well. And knowing how the Pistons play, where they're, paying attention to a lot of those fine details, especially after, the playoffs, where you see how important those just little plays are, being able to box out here or call out a cut here or call out a screen there, or not hedging too low before you have to contest an open shot. Like just those little details, I think are going to matter. And I think they're going to have the physical intangibles to kind of go along with being able to, at the very least, grow and learn from taking those steps that from the mistakes they might make early in the summer league. So we'll see what their progression looks like. It'll be important for them.
Good point. That's a good point. Yeshawan Judah says Pistons finna be summer league champions. I'm calling out. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised, bro. I wouldn't be surprised at all. That would not be anything but a surprise to me. So we'll wait and see how that pans out. Let's go to Chaz Lanier, bro. Let's talk about Chaz Lanier. Newest Detroit Piston, Chaz Lanier. So first of all, shout out to Chaz. He officially, I believe, was introduced today. Officially signed his contract. As you can see right here, here he is with Trajan Langdon. So shout out to Chaz. Congratulations. You are now in the NBA. And let's just talk about him a little bit, bro. So he's 6'4" guard from Tennessee. Was drafted 37th overall this year, just like Bobi was last year, 37. In this year's draft. And like I mentioned, he went to Tennessee. He was a sniper, bro. He was a sniper. Absolute bucket. And not just a sniper, but a bucket. with the Volunteers. So what are your initial thoughts on Chaz Lanier and how he may fare in Summer League this year?
I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity to show exactly who he is. I feel like a lot of the guys on the roster will be looking at him as, like you said, as a sharpshooter and that number one target, where if he even gets a little bit of space, he's going to pull it. And I feel like Summer League is the perfect time for him to build that confidence and kind of iron out those mechanics, get used to the distance of an NBA level shot, which he's used to anyway, because he shot, very deep when he was in college at Tennessee. So this isn't going to be some, unfamiliar territory for him. And, he I believe is wearing number 20, which I think is pretty awesome, knowing the lineage of Detroit Pistons shooters that come from that, from Allen Houston to Jody Meeks. Someone said Carlos Delfino, and I wanted to throw up. Wayne Ellington. It's a lot of great number 20s that were shooters. John Barry. I almost forgot about John Barry. A lot of great number 20s that they came through for the Pistons. So he gets to add to that legacy. And I feel like, again, he's going to have a quick start to be able to make it count, because again, I think he's going to get a lot of minutes in the regular season just based on necessity. And I think he'll have the opportunity to kind of grow and show where he can be as soon as Summer League right now.
Real ones remember when John Barry hit the Clippers with the horns in the game where he brought them back and beat them when they were trying to taunt them early because they were losing that game. And he took over that game on his own.
I remember that. I was outside for that.
Quinn Richardson and Darius Miles and the boys was sick, bro. They were so upset.
That this dude John Barry hit that on us.
Cooking them, bro.
That was fire. I definitely remember that day. That was such a good time.
Oh man, we had to get in the old school moment. We gotta do it. It's customary at this point, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. As far as Chaz, I think he has a chance. He definitely has a chance to get some playing time in spots this season. Just because, in my opinion, I think he can do that because he's a little bit older. He has played 4 years of college between, I think it was North Florida and Tennessee. So he knows his game. He's pretty polished offensive player coming out of college. For that reason. But I just want to make this point. He's not a point guard. He's more of a scoring guard. Who gets his points off ball, player movement, ball movement, things like that. Last season, he shot 40% from three on catch and shoot threes. But he can also go get his own. He shot 30, I think it was 39.5 overall from deep on good volume on double-digit games. He was getting a lot of threes up and knocking down a lot of them. And he averaged 18 points per game on 43% shooting overall. He averaged 3 boards and 1 assist. So he's not looking to really pass the ball this day. He's looking to score. And I do think he's going to be a great fit in this offense because of the style of play that he's actually coming from in Tennessee. Last season with Tennessee, if you guys watched him, they looked to get out and transition at every single opportunity. Yep. So a lot of time, ball through the net, they taking out the net and trying to push. A lot like how Indiana does. They were very fast paced and they tried to run you out of the gym. Of course, but here's the thing, leading with their defense. And I think that is important, just as important for this team, because their coach, the Tennessee coach, Rick Barnes, he is a defensive coach. You weren't getting on the court with him if you do not commit to that end of the court first. But he praised Chaz for his commitment to that end of the floor. And that's why he was able to stay on the floor. So I love to hear that part of it because, it's good to be a bucket. It's good to be a scorer. It's good to have scoring punch off your bench, but still playing to that identity of who the team is and having that buy-in is just as important. So knowing that he had that mentality with the Volunteers last year, with the defensive-minded coach, signing off on him, I think that's important. So with the departure of guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and maybe Malik Beasley, at least for now, the Pistons do need scoring punch off their bench, and having a guy like Chaz who can get hot in a hurry, he can really add a lot of depth to what guys like Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert are going to be, trying to replace that with.
Yep, I'm excited to see where that development comes from too. Trajan spoke about that, after the draft as well. Said that was something that they tracked. He's obviously a really good shooter, but his improvement on defense too is something that really caught their eye. So again, knowing that the Pistons want guys that play on both sides of the floor, and I'm really excited for him to learn from a guy like Duncan Robinson, who obviously is a great shooter, but his ability to kind of do other things like set off ball screens, cut off the ball, and get easy looks, at the rim as well. I think that's going to help progress in his game. Again, I don't want to see a lot of, Chaz, trying to, run the offense or dictate the offense. That's not really going to be his game. It's positionless basketball, and a lot of people want to be combo guards nowadays. But I don't mind guys kind of just honing in on what they do, especially early in their careers. So being able to learn from guys like Duncan Robinson, I think is going to be huge for him. He's going to be soaking up a lot from guys like Cade, even Karis LeVert, who's an experienced veteran as well. He's going to be in a really good environment, even from Summer League as well. So, yeah, we're going to see a lot of opportunity for him to, kind of round out that quick jump shot of his and, how efficient and dangerous he can be, because he can get as hot as anybody in a hurry. So that's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, man. I honestly think that this coming season, the Pistons are going to be running even more than what we saw last year, especially with that second unit. I'm looking at the guys who they brought in. I mean, Karis LeVert, bro, every missed shot, as soon as the ball was secured, he's sprinting down the court, trying to get in transition, like 40-yard dash, just sprinting. So I think the guys that we've added to this team, they all kind of have that mentality of wanting to get out and run. And I think we're going to see even more so them running this year. And I think it's going to be something that a lot of fans enjoy, especially of course the starting unit, but I think that bench unit, them being able to run and getting out transition and just wreaking havoc defensively is going to be something that Pistons fans really enjoy this upcoming season. Think about this too, bro. With Chaz, going into last year's draft, Tennessee lost his best player, Dalton Connect, sharpshooter, right?
Yep.
They lost him to the NBA. They replaced him with Chaz, and they don't skip a beat. They immediately advanced to the Elite Eight the following year. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chaz progresses in his career. But the Pistons, once again, they did address a depth need, with Chaz. And, he does have that potential to be a good player. Now, us missing out on guys like Malik Monk may give Chaz a little bit more opportunity to be able to come in and, create some scoring for this team. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, looking forward to watching Chaz play. I want to talk about a guy who's not on this roster this year for a minute. Marcus Sasser.
Yeah.
Was not listed on this roster. So I wasn't I wasn't shocked to see that he wasn't there. He is entering his third season. But let me just start with this. I think Sass is one of the most offensively skilled players on this team, personally. I think his offensive game is very polished. He's a bucket getter with a ton of confidence. And as of right now, he's signed through 2028, right? After this upcoming season, the Pistons have a team option on his deal, though, after this upcoming season. So they can decide to pick it up or decide not to. So just what is your take, bro, when it comes to Marcus Sasser with regards to his role with the Pistons going into next season? Do you think that he has a role on this team, or do you think it may be a little bit harder because of the guys that maybe we have added? What do you think?
I think I think he has a role, and I think he has an opportunity. Again, not having Beasley, not being able to bring him back opens up a lot for everybody. It doesn't just add pressure on, the starters to take that next step, but I mean, it kind of applies for Sasser too, because like you just said, he is one of the more skilled, offensive creators on the team in terms of getting his own shot. He can get to the hoop. He's really good touch with his floater, and we obviously know what he can do with that 3-point shot as well. So he has a whole bag of, how he's able to score, but the consistency can kind of come and go at times. He's not really the best defender, of course, as well, due to his size. But I feel like if he has the opportunity to play next to somebody like Cade or Ivy and stagger rotations, I feel like those are the guys that you want running the show on your offense anyway, and to kind of be able to, emphasize at what Sasser is best at in terms of scoring. You can use him in that role, and I think he'd be just fine. Like, I feel like it takes away his necessity or his thought to have to think, okay, well, how can I be a playmaker? Do I have to, pass here and rotate here? And, he talked a lot about, over the season last year of, developing into a point guard and learning what it meant to play the position. I feel like now is a good time to just be able to let loose and score at will, especially when the team needs it, because they don't have a ton of scoring punch off of their bench outside of the two veterans that they just signed. So, I think this is a huge opportunity for him to kind of, step up and assert himself. I didn't think he was going to be in the Summer League roster just because he's in his third year. It's not really much of a shock, but again, there are definitely going to be eyes on him because again, I hate to use the term, but it is make or break for a lot of guys. Like Trajan is going to answer a lot of questions of, okay, this works, this doesn't. He can maybe fit long term. Maybe we're better off, making some different decisions. So I feel like he's another one of those names, and it's going to be a lot of eyes on him as soon as the regular season starts.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the guys on this roster, man. We have another guy now on this roster who is a bucket at the guard position on our bench, who just got here, via the draft, who's bigger. So, I think for Saz, for him, he's going to have to carve out a very particular role for himself that he can be relied upon, when called into the game consistently. You look at guys on this roster, up and down the roster, these guys are developing an identity as a team, but also individually, like as to who they are and who they're going to be for this team. You can see their roles kind of being defined, right, for this team. I think Sasser's role, in my opinion, should be becoming more of a defensive demon too, who is opportunistic on offense, right? Yeah. Like think about Davion Mitchell, but a deeper bag. That's kind of what I see for Saz, right? Okay. A kind of compact guard, not the tallest, but is a defensive pest, like a Lindsey Hunter, Mike James type of guy with a deeper bag. Davion Mitchell with a deeper bag. I think that it could be a way that he could really carve out a consistent role for himself, or a role when needed. So he's just not sitting at the end of the bench. Because I would like to see him get an opportunity, bro, somewhere here or somewhere, because he's so good of a player. So like running the offense as a floor general, like setting up and orchestrating the offense, that's not his game. We saw him last year. You mentioned it. It looked like they were trying him out at point guard, and they were trying to run certain sets, and certain sets looked okay. Like they ran him, he gotten used to them, but it didn't seem like it was enough to where he could sustain it while he was in the game. And that's kind of where he would get into trouble. Is like he didn't know where he was supposed to be, what the rest of the offense was doing. And so it just seemed like he's a bucket. He's a scorer. So I think if he can identify that one or two things that he can do very, very well and do them consistently, being a hound defensively and getting your offense when it's there, I think that will be a good way for him to be able to have a consistent role, whether it's here or somewhere else. But I think he's got a chance. He has to do that, though, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Davion as a comparison for that. Again, kind of going back to Malik Beasley a little bit. I feel like a lot of those young guys, even like guys like Ron, I feel like they kind of understand the impact that a 6-man and guys off the bench can have. Like, even though a lot of these guys that are coming in as first round picks, where they were, the man in college or in the G League or high school, like they're maybe trying to learn where they fit in and how they can help lift the team up to win. And seeing, what Beasley was able to do, how he was able to get hot, help lift the scoring of the team, how to make, plays defensively. It's like you said, to kind of create, moments to, swing the momentum for the Pistons. I feel like, he showed a lot of what that means for these guys. And I think Sasser is a guy that this can kind of apply to as well. Who knows what a quick 10, 12 points can do from him off the bench. Again, he can get as hot as anybody, in a quick moment. And he don't really need a lot of space to get it. Exactly. So, I think I think he understands, like, that's the moment. I think he understands that this is a big season for him because, we want to see him have that opportunity, whether it's with the Pistons or not, time will have to tell. But he does have a lot of talent on him, and we'll see how he's able to apply it in this upcoming season. Yeah, man. Well said. So that is all I have for Summer League. There's one thing I wanted to kind of talk about with you. This is kind of unscripted, but I see a lot of comments about it in the chat here. It's with this Dennis Schroeder, Sacramento Kings sign and trade fiasco. It's finally, as far as I understand, it's over. The Pistons have received the trade player exception in that deal for Dennis Schroeder, and I believe it's for $14 million. I'm not the greatest with salary cap and how everything works with the numbers and everything like that, but from what I understand, had they made a trade or acquired another player back, they could have used up to $22 million, gone over the cap. That's what I right? But because they didn't, I think because it fell through or didn't work out, they are left with the $14 million traded player exception, right? So that's the latest news with that. Is there anybody that you think the Pistons may try to go after? There's one guy who I'm thinking about, especially with what we need, that I think could really, really be impactful and really kind of fill some of the holes we have defensively. But what do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts? What's your reaction to it? The fact the Pistons didn't make a trade, they didn't bring anybody back, and now they got this $14 million to play with. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer that, the Malik Monk thing kind of just fell through the way it did. It was a long, drawn out wait for this processing. But, the fact is they were able to get something out of it. I think the trade exception is huge. Allowing them to make a trade for a player, even if they're over the cap, is a big deal for them, especially coming up with their salary cap situation with a lot of young players with expiring deals coming up soon. That's a big thing to have. And another note is they traded a second-round pick to bring that trade exception. So that means Trajan's going to want to do something with that.
Okay.
I don't necessarily have a player in mind yet. I kind of just thought the two guys that were best available for what they needed was Malik Monk and John Collins. Like I had talked myself into the John Collins acquisition just because I'm not as down on his defense as everybody else is. Again, we saw Tobias Harris, be able to turn around his defensive image, in his 13th, 14th season and 30 plus years old. So a guy that has all the, skill in the world and would have resources around him, and guys like Sasser, Duran, Cade, like these are all plus defenders. Ron Holland, like these are all guys that could help him like lift up his production. So I don't have anybody in mind off rip. Who was the person that you were thinking of?
So Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin is the guy who I have on my radar, bro.
Okay.
You know how I am with these fours. You know how I am with the Nas Reeds and Obi. Like I want that. I think that would be perfect.
Okay.
Playing with Stu, because it gives you more size, and playing with JD. Either one, you can play with either one, giving you more size, more rim protection. I was just watching how he was playing against the Knicks, and he did a pretty solid job against the bigs when he was playing against them. And he's not a sniper from long range, but he can knock down. He showed me a lot this year. I call him a modest man's Aaron Gordon, as far as being able got certain guard skills, can surprise you offensively. Like he's one of those guys who came in very athletic, but you saw over time he continued to add more and more to his game and polish his game up, just like Aaron Gordon. He was with the Orlando Magic. He was known for being a slam dunk champion, right? But that was pretty much it. But then you see him go to Denver and develop his game, and now he's got all-star level ability. Now, I'm not saying Obi Toppin has all-star level ability. That's why I call him a modest man's Aaron Gordon. But I think he can give you a lot on both ends of the court. He knows how to play within the structured offense and the structured defense. We just saw that with the Pacers. He plays really well within the system. He's athletic. He can get out and run. He can knock down an open shot. He gives you more size. He's got a pretty good wingspan. Like, for me, he would be perfect off the bench. If Bobi isn't ready, right? Or even if we're going to go bigger, I wouldn't start him with Tobias. But
no, me neither.
Right? Tobias gives you too many things, right? Except the size. Everything but the size is what Tobias gives you, seems like. But I think a guy like Obi Toppin will just really bolster your front court, especially off the bench, coming in with Stu. I think that would be a nice pairing. So what do you guys think about Obi Toppin? What's your thoughts on that?
I like that a lot. I think that's a really good name. Find a way to poach out from the Division II, make Indiana bleed a little bit more. I think that's
everybody else is.
Yeah, everybody else doing it. Why not? Come on with it. I think that's a good mention. I think he did a lot. We talked a lot about the depth and, the rotational pieces that kind of helped OKC and Indiana in the finals. And he was one of those guys that, again, he just made the right play for him when they needed it most. A rebound here, an open shot here, a cutting dunk, on the next possession. Like, he was just always involved and active, really good rebounder and active around the rim. Yeah, I would like him a lot. And I also don't think he would make, like, if somebody like maybe Tobias got hurt or they had to, insert him in the starting lineup to play 20-some minutes, I think he would be able to kind of keep the offense afloat because of the things that he provides to them, especially how dialed he is as a defender as well. Very hyper athletic guy. Even when he was with the Knicks, I liked his energy a lot. I think that's a really good name, actually. Again, I thought John Collins would have been a good fit for him.
Yeah.
Kind of sticking to that same like super athlete that, can give you, production on both ends of the floor. I think Obi would be a really good choice if you weren't able to get somebody like Collins. So yeah, I like that a lot. Good call.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. And you guys, like, to be fair, you guys are making good points. The Pacers wouldn't be ideal trade partners, but
of course not.
But keep this in mind. They let Miles Turner walk to Milwaukee, a division rival. So, I mean, these things are not impossible. I know it wasn't a trade. They didn't intend for Miles to go there, but they decided not to pay him a few extra million a year just to go to a division rival, right, in the same conference. So it's not impossible. Who knows at this point what Indiana's thinking, losing Hallie and losing Miles. who knows? They may feel it's time to go the other direction. We don't know.
Thanks.
Who knows? It's really hard to say what happens with them. I think if given the right trade that will give them some decent assets going forward, or maybe some relief going forward, they would consider it. But I would love to have a guy like Obi Toppin on the scene, bro. I think he would answer a lot of questions and solve a few problems for us for sure. So we'll see how it plays out. Devon actually mentioned that he believes that it's going to be drawn out to the trade deadline. So trade exception will be used at the deadline. So Devon and anybody else, who do you think will be available at the trade deadline? And who do you guys think the Pistons should take a look at? I know there's a few guys available. I don't have it available right now, but shout out Kyle Metz. He got a whole list of guys that are available. So yeah, but if you guys have anybody in mind who you guys have interest in, let us know. Marvin says Rashawn Holmes. What are your thoughts on Rashawn Holmes, bro? To be honest, I have not seen a lot of him, to be real with you. I can't even make an honest evaluation on him. But you guys can tell me what you guys think about him. If you got any thoughts on Rashawn Holmes?
Yeah, I know a little brief bit of him. I mean, he's not a bad player. He kind of fits a little bit more of the signs we've seen with guys like Marvin Bagley, where it's low risk, high reward. You know, he's not gonna, turn a whole lot, but hey, if he's on his best day and on his best game, maybe he gives you something. But I don't know. I mean, he's not a bad player, 6'9", forward, with Washington right now. Yeah. I would probably look for something a little bit more proven because, again, you're trying to get back to the playoffs. You're not trying to just tinker around with, with guys that may be something and may not be something. You need some proven talent to take advantage of Cade's window right now. And again, I admire how patient he's been, but you got to start churning in some names that show that you're serious about taking that next step. Because after getting some playoff success now, those guys want to get to where those other teams are. They saw what Indiana did. They saw what these other young guys did, and they're looking to get to where they are in terms of that plateau of winning. So, I mean, again, Rashawn Holmes is a cool player. I just don't think he gets you to that kind of area. So I'd much rather see trades and be patient until you have to pull the trigger and find an opportunity somebody else that's a little bit more proven than a guy that could be a project like Rashawn a little bit. I got you. I got two more questions for you and we'll get you out of here, bro. How would you feel if the Pistons went in this direction? I've been hearing a lot of talk about this, about the Pistons needing a backup point guard, maybe a veteran guard. I personally don't feel like there's any room for any more guards unless we make a move unless, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's kind of a logjam at this point of guards and nothing has really been defined yet. I wouldn't be mad if we tried to get a guy like Marcus Smart. Shout out to Ron Holland's cousin. A guy like that, a defensive dog, right? To kind of, just bring in for insurance. But I feel like at this point, the Pistons need is clear and they have to get bigger at this point. What do you think? It's not a bad call. I kind of was on the same board with you just because I thought Cade and Ivy would be the ones that are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of carrying their offense. Right. But I also don't want them to be playing super high minutes where they have to kind of just do everything. I want to be able to see Cade play off ball. You know how much I love to see him post up and, get off ball looks. Ivy as well. I think he's one of their best off ball scorers. Especially coming off the injury. I want to see him be able to kind of have a seamless transition, from his recovery after that. Right. And I think maybe having a backup could help. It's always talks to guys like Tyus Jones. I think, did he just sign somewhere? I forgot. I forgot what he signed. I thought he signed somewhere. It wouldn't hurt them to have that. Again, I think it would maybe cost them, a spot of a guy like, Sasser, unfortunately, to kind of fill in and have that backup. Mm-hmm. And again, I think you'll have guys that can play, forward minutes as well. Again, maybe Asar takes that next step as a ball handler. Maybe you can, find a way to, spread the ball around for different creators. Yeah. But I don't think it would be a bad idea. I don't know. I don't look at it as a big priority as other people do, but it couldn't hurt them to have that on the team for sure. Eastside me says Corey Joseph available. Bro, stop. Get out of here, I'm bro. Sleep. No, we're not doing that. I'm sleep, bro. I'm going to coma. I'm not here. Tyus Jones signed with the Magic. Oh, man. Okay. So that brings me to my last question, bro. Where do the Pistons sit to you in the standings next year in the Eastern Conference? Where do they stand? Do you have them 1 through 5, 1 through 4, 1 through 3? Where do you see them? Top 14?
In chat, where do you guys see the Pistons currently as of right now with the moves that have been made around the league, like Desmond Bane and Tyus Jones to the Orlando Magic? It's not really, it's pretty wide open. We all know it's wide open, but like, is there anywhere you kind of see the Pistons falling?
I definitely think it's wide open. I don't have the confidence to put them any higher than 6 from where they were. Again, I believe they can still I still think Cleveland is going to be the best team in the East. I think New York will find a way to come back. Milwaukee, I think, will still be dangerous just off the strength and respect I have for Giannis.
Okay.
And I mean, even the other guys like they have, like, again, I like well, maybe Indiana probably will take a step back as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to see it first. Again, it's been a little underwhelming in terms of what their offseason has been. But there are teams that got a lot better. Like Orlando definitely got better. I love the pickup that Miami just made, getting Norman Powell. I think that's huge for them for basically nothing what they got him back for.
Yeah, it don't even move the needle for me, bro. I mean, it doesn't move the needle? It does not move the needle for me, bro.
Wow.
They still have so much help they need. Like, that's a good pickup, but they're not going nowhere. Let's play a quick game.
Okay,
I'm gonna name a team, and you say whether the Pistons are better or not better. So, Miami Heat, are the Pistons better? Yes or no?
Yeah, they're better.
Chicago Bulls, yes or no?
Yes.
Atlanta Hawks, yes or no?
I think they're gonna be neck and neck. I'll say yes, but I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta finished better. They get Jalen Johnson back healthy. I think they can be pretty good this year. But I'll say yes for right now.
Okay. Orlando Magic, yes or no?
I'll say no. I'll say no just for now, just for on paper. And I don't know what Ivy looks like yet. For now, I'm gonna say no, just for now.
Bro, low-key, I think the Magic are better than the Hawks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. I definitely agree with that. I'm a huge fan of Paulo. Just got paid as well. I think Bane is going to be perfect for them. And then the core of point guards that they brought in to kind of stabilize that, I think is perfect for them. Yeah, I really like what they've done this offseason, especially in the draft too.
Right, exactly. Okay, so you got the Hawks and the Magic above the Pistons as of right now, like as of today?
Yeah, just for today.
Okay.
Yep.
Got you. Okay. Milwaukee Bucks, are the Pistons better than Bucks?
You know how it is for like Houston, how they just can't beat Golden State until it happens. I feel like Milwaukee is that team for Detroit. I need to see it happen before I can give them that benefit of the doubt. I can't give them the on paper yet because they just always find a way to nag and beat the Pistons. So I'm gonna say Milwaukee is better, just off respect for now.
I'm gonna say that we're better than Milwaukee because Kevin Porter Jr. is Milwaukee's starting point guard. That's no shade to Kevin Porter Jr., but I like Cade having to guard Kevin Porter Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr. having to guard Cade in the playoff series. Give me that all day long, all week long, all month and year long. I think, and then like he's a good guard, but if he's your starter, who you got on your bench?
I agree.
Like it's quiet, bro. It's kind of scary for me as far as their depth. But we'll see. Like, respect to Giannis, but I think the Pistons are better than them right now. But it's okay. So you have the Hawks and the Magic. Let's go to the Pacers. Are the Pistons better than the Pacers as of right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Are
unhealthy Halliburton.
I'm with you. Yeah. New York Knicks. Are the Pistons better than the New York Knicks right now?
I think they're another team where I got to see it. Again, I think they can beat them, but if you're asking me who's better right now, I think New York is a better team just off of what we saw in the playoffs. I think they earned that respect, even though they had some help from the refs. But we'll move on from that.
I'm kind of torn there, bro, because I feel what you're saying. Like they beat us in the playoffs just recently, so it's hard to say that we're better than them. But we all say it, bro. If we were healthy, we probably win that series.
I feel you. Even Trey just said the same thing. I ain't mad at it.
I'm struggling with that, bro. Yeah. I'm just really struggling, and because they have no depth, but they still don't have any depth. They just got a coach,
and they're not going to have it for a while too. They don't have a lot of resource to bring in a ton of it. But
it's quiet.
I gotta see it first. I gotta see it, and then I'll buy in.
No, I ain't mad at you. I feel you. All right, so let's go to the Celtics. That's an interesting one. Are the Pistons better than the Boston Celtics today?
I love that Anthony Simons pickup. I think that's really good for them.
I think it was too.
Their scoring without Tatum. I'm I'm going to say no for now, but I think they can change my mind very quick. If they don't get off to a hot start, I think Boston could be in trouble. But I'll give them the respect for right now, knowing what they've done. I'll say yes for right now. I think that Boston is better for now.
Okay. So I feel you 100% on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Pistons, as of right now, have more depth, and I think that our best player is better than their best player.
Yes.
With Tatum being sidelined, Cade Cunningham is better than Jaylen Brown.
Facts. I agree.
So I think those two things give the Pistons the edge. Like the experience piece is very, very important. Has to be factored in, right? But I think team for team right now, the Pistons are. I don't know how far the Celtics can go with Jaylen Brown as their go-to guy every night. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that since his rookie season before JT came into the league the following season. So this is going to be a chance to show that. But I think, like you said, until he proves it, until I see it.
Yeah.
But I feel you on that. Last team, Cleveland Cavaliers. Are the Pistons better than the Cavaliers? Yes or no?
I think they're frauds, but for now, I do think they're better than the Pistons. They're frauds, but they are better than the Pistons right now. Just for right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you see the Pistons healthy, if Ivy catches a role, and I think they can make those two guards guard that backcourt, they're going to be in a world of hurt. But for right now, I'll give them the respect and say they're better for now. Just for
61 season. Right. Even though they kind of faded in the playoffs, but I gotta respect that. I'll say this. I can't wait to see Cade and Jaden versus Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland.
Yeah.
Because the size advantage, bro.
Yes.
Our smallest guard between those two is bigger than their biggest guard between those two.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Jaden Ivey is 6'4", 6'5". D Mitch is 6'3" at best. Darius Garland is like 6'1", 6'2". So yeah, you can't really hide anybody.
Right.
You can't hide Darius Garland. He's going to be picked on. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch that matchup.
Yep. Even against a guy like DeAndre Hunter, I think they'll be able to take advantage of him for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a fun matchup. DeAndre Hunter, Sasser, that's going to be fun. They kind of got into it a little bit last year when they played each other a little bit too. If you guys paid attention, I know you saw it.
Yes, they did. That was crazy. The crowd was acting up off of that.
Right. Marvin said, Marvin said, breaking Pistons just
on today, bro.
All right, bro. Put it down, bro.
Come on, dog.
Put the drink down,
Marvin?
Bro. Marvin is Marvin.
I know it was a tough off season, but come on, dog. What we doing, bro? Let's
bro.
To the people.
Bro, it's brutal right now, bro. This is like the dead time of the year. So like fans gotta keep ourselves occupied somehow.
Facts. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. But I feel you. I think the Pistons are top 14. I think they're top 14 next year. I think the Cavs right now are better. I'm giving it to the Knicks only because they beat us. Despite who played, who didn't, you gotta play with who you got. I think by season's end, we will be better. But as of right now, I'll give it to the Knicks. So Cavs, Knicks, and only other team I think is better than us is the Magic. Barely. Ever so slight. I think the Tyus Jones pickup was big. Yeah. I think that was very, very important for them because their guard play, man, that's really where I saw them struggle last year. Like think about real quick. Think about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Right, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he struggled last year. I think the last two seasons with the Nuggets or with the Magic, right? His 3-point percentage took a major dip.
Yeah, I think he was just one season, but yeah, he wasn't good at all.
Just one season. Okay, he really struggled last year. But you think about it, you go from having Jokic and Murray to Paolo and who else you got? Cole Anthony as your guards. Like the playmaking wasn't there. He wasn't getting the same quality of shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I think them adding, Tyus Jones, guys who can set, guys like him up, is going to help him to get higher quality shots. Is he still playing for the Magic? Is he still there? He's still with Orlando, isn't he? KCP? Is he still there? I think he's still there.
No,
he's gone.
I think he was a part of the deal, actually. Yeah, because people were freaking
out
about
the deal. That's right.
Orlando gave away all those picks, but they gave away Cole Anthony and KCP, who were terrible. Right. So those picks don't really mean much.
Crazy deal.
Gave away terrible players. So yeah,
how did they pull that off, bro?
Crazy. Yeah.
How in the world did they pull that off?
I don't know. Yeah, I think Memphis will be happy with those picks, but at the same time, I think it works out just fine for Orlando because they're clearly going for it right now with that 3.
Right. Ethan, exactly. KCP got the benefit of playing next to you. Exactly. Mm-hmm. A lot of open shots right. because of the attention that the MVP draws. So, yeah, man. Right. That's all I got, bro. Anything else on your end, man?
Thanks, man. Hey, I appreciate you for having me. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in, man. Again, it's going to be a fun week with Summer League loading up. I'm going to try to get as much coverage as I can. I think I'm going to be down in Vegas for Summer League, checking it out.
Hey.
So if you want to tap in to my YouTube channel, it's Top Title Detroit. I'm going to have as much coverage as I can behind the scenes, on the floor, everywhere I can be. Make sure you subscribe to my channel on there and lock in with me on social media as well. At I am Eric Vincent. And no, I don't like Derek White, Devon. Please don't mention him in this comment section so we ain't got no problems, man. I'm trying to leave here on a high note. Trying to leave here on a happy note, man. Don't do this.
See, he know you leaving. He trying to draw you back in, but that's all that is.
Troll it on the way out the door. How y'all gonna do me like that? We supposed to all be happy on the way out.
They're not having it, bro. But listen, man, yeah, shout out to you, bro, for pulling up, man. Like he mentioned already, but I'm gonna say it myself. If you haven't got hip yet to Eric, you got to do it. You got to get hip, man. So like he said, you guys can follow him on YouTube. He's going to have a lot of BTS stuff coming this offseason, going into next season. So make sure you guys stay plugged in for that. He always makes sure your boy has what he needs to make sure we can get it to you guys as well. So I always appreciate you for that, bro.
For sure.
But yeah, man, game 1 of the Summer League play, I believe, is on July 11th. This coming Friday, I believe. Let's pull it up and take a look real quick. Here, yeah. Okay, yeah. So the 11th, their first game is against the Knicks. And then they've got the Rockets on the 13th, the T-Wolves on the 15th, and the Heat on the 17th. Courtesy, once again, of Eric Vincent for providing that for us. Always coming through. So appreciate you, bro. We are going to call it, guys. We appreciate you guys all showing up and showing out as you guys always do. But yeah, as far as who you guys are looking forward to watching in Summer League, I want to know who you guys are looking at. Who you guys paying attention to? Who do you have your eye on? Who is on your radar? But yeah, let us know. We are all looking forward to watching Pistons basketball again. It is almost here. So talk to us down in the comments and let's get it popping. So also, last thing, tomorrow the Pistons are holding a presser for Chaz Lanier at 1 p.m. He's going to be officially introduced to the team. Shout out to Chaz Lanier. So you guys can look for some content from at least one of us back here tomorrow to break that all down. And that's a wrap, man. But until then, y'all know the drill, man. Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
And when you knock me down, I'm getting back up. Cause when I step on the floor, you know your time's up. I'm on my way up and I'm not gonna stop. We headed straight to the top in the know. I gotta face it. I got no time to waste it.